Hey, welcome to Spit in the Bit. We're talking about the Derby contenders, and we start off with Commandment, who I think we both have as our second choice. Very, very strong
Yeah.
contender. Brad Cox trained. Luis Saez is going to be aboard. It was Flavian Pratt for a while, but I think I think Luis Saez is a good replacement. He's
Sure.
signed by Into Mischief. Um, Won the Florida Derby amongst other things. So, yeah, why do
County
you like
Youth.
him, Kev?
What's that?
Why do you like him?
Well, I mean, in many other years, he'd be my top horse. And even so, I won't bore people with all the things that I factor in, but man, this is a by my numbers, this is an extremely competitive top five or six. But my top two are a virtual deadlock. Um, and Commandment is one of those. I have them at two, but it's it's uh it's a sheet of paper between the two of them. It's a thin margin.
Yeah, I really like him because I think he's versatile. He he's a his running style is he's a tactical stalker, so he'll stay close to the lead, and which I think you need. I like that better in the Derby than all that traffic. So I think his running style. Um, Fits the Derby pretty well. If he can have that kind of trip. Still, with 20 horses, you're still a little bit dependent on the trip somewhat. But all the horses need that. I like
I
that.
think I think what I like, all those things are awesome. I mean, he's won four straight. Connections are great. Um, I um, I would rather he had um, gone at least one other place on his last three races. But that being said, he did win. He did win at Churchill Downs, his second race, 7 furlongs. So there's really nothing to knock him for at all. I think for me, currently, his biggest strength, if we want to start there, his last two back Fountain of Youth, he was closer to the pace, and that was a moderate, solid pace. And they and that was the Fountain of Youth. But in the Derby, man, they were crawling.
Yeah,
They're about as slow as you could, and so typically it's harder to close into such a slow pace at a track like Gulfstream. So not only the people he ran or the horses he ran down, but to try and close into that slow pace and get there at the wire, it was very impressive.
yeah. Like you say, he showed he can fight, he can grind. He's like was talking about versatile with the pace per se. Is he can do it a variety of ways. Um, one of the knocks I have on him, which I didn't even think about the Gulfstream bias a little bit, or that he'd run there so well. 'Cause that's a lot of people are further ado their knocking because he's just a Keeneland horse. So I don't buy that.
And that's just not even true. I mean, we'll talk about further ado down the line. Like I've heard that too, and it's just so ridiculous. The
Right.
horse he won at Keeneland, but he
Yeah,
won, he won at Churchill at a mile and a 16th.
sure.
Uh, as a 2-year-old, it's a ridiculous statement. I don't even,
Yeah.
it's
My
it's knuckleheads pulling out knucklehead stuff.
yeah, and they love to do that around this time.
Yep.
Commandment. My worry about him is I don't know if he has that dynamic move like Renegade and Further Ado where they have that big burst. So I
Correct.
think he
Um,
needs to be placed well to hold them off.
I mean, the race before that, he was closer to the pace at Gulfstream in the Fountain of Youth. Um, and for him to close with a shorter stretch like that against tough horses is pretty awesome. Um, Generally speaking, and I think it'll play out more so this year. And I say that with a big asterisk next to it. On paper, this race looks like it'll be a moderate pace, potentially even a slow race.
I agree.
However, there's a bunch of things that can go awry when you've got 20 horses. You've got horses shipping in from um, international horses shipping in, and you don't have to go any further than um, Palace Malice. I know it's a horse that you not Palace Malice that you like, but there's a horse that you love that's in this race that's going to be using blinkers for the first time. Um, Sometimes horses, it's been more frequent in the last couple of decades that horses that do that freak out, like Palace Malice went on to some really nice success after the Derby, but lost his mind in the Derby, and they went a blistering pace. So you just never know. I would say that more often than not, it's faster than you think it's going to be, which would be better for him, I think, to create a little more space. If somebody gets loose on the lead and slows it down, it'll be harder for him to command it because he'll have to wind his way through a logjam of horses.
Yeah, good point.
Those, you had asked things I like a lot about this horse. Um, I love those final fractions. Um, it, those were great. I love his gallop out. He his last four races have been against really solid opponents,
Yeah, that's big.
and he's shown up in all four of those races and found a way to win. Um,
Super, super consistent. What
I
are
like that he loves passing horses.
yeah,
Sounds sort of silly, but not so much either, right? I mean, these are pack herd animals, and one of the ways they can show they're the one is how many I can run down
yeah, yeah,
confidently.
and he does a good job of that. So with this information, how are you going to use them at the ticket window or the how
He
you
will be in every single one of my exotics.
you have to?
I think this is and it's almost a dead heat. In my opinion, this is the second most likely winner of the
Yeah,
2026 Kentucky Derby.
yeah, I think he's the most consistent of the 20 horses, and
Yep.
so yeah, I'm going to have him in my top two or three on all my tickets. Yeah, he's going to,
Yeah,
got
if it weren't for Renegade, I would say this is the definite favorite. Um, but by my numbers, Renegade is just a tiny tick above him. I'm going to stick with my numbers. They've been good to me in the Derby. So, um,
my only complaint about that is he's going to be bet accordingly. Lot of people are going to Renegade and Commandment are going to get heavily bet, and rightfully so.
however, I don't think we're going to see a horse. I will be surprised if we see one of these go off at 3-1. I think because the top horses are good, the money is going to be spread around, in my opinion.
I agree.
Now, if Renegade or Commandment were to scratch, yeah, then I think we're going to see a 2-1 horse.
Yeah,
But I think it's very possible that Renegade or Commandment, whoever goes off is you know, at the final bell.
yeah,
Um, I'd be surprised if it goes below 7-2.
yeah. You're pretty faithful at sticking to your numbers and betting the winner. I have a bad habit of sometimes chasing the odds. Like, oh, this horse is over bet. I'll go for somebody lesser that has better numbers. I mean, we all do that. I think I do that sometimes to a fault. So I got to be
But this
disciplined.
is a race that you can make money off of place and show bets for sure.
Yeah,
Um, so watching the odds in this race, if you got a horse that you really believe in or think has some kind of tactical advantage, it's worth it. Like my example would be Mystic Dan. I didn't key him in my exotics, um, but he is the only horse that I put money on to win place or show because I thought his odds were. I thought he was being um, disregarded, but because his Arkansas Derby had some hiccups, I wasn't willing to make him my key horse. But he's the reason I broke even because I didn't win any of my exotics because I didn't put Forever Young in it.
yeah. The whole Japanese thing. Who knew what how to play that? So Understand.
Right.
All right.
Um, so
Well,
yes, he'll be every single bet I have.
sounds good. So we highly recommend Commandment in your bets, and he has a good chance to win this race, and
Yep,
we
100%.
can't speak highly enough. And again, my last point is Luis Saez riding. I heard somebody talking about the different jockeys that really want to win, um, the ones that haven't won yet, and so on. But this gentleman said, this commentator said, Luis Saez has the biggest motivation to win this race as a jockey because he won it and then got it taken away. So he's tasted what it's
Sure.
like to win it, and then but he hasn't won it because he got it taken
And
away.
I think that's valid to a I think I do think that's valid. I mean, because you still have riders like Irad Ortiz, who's won so many Eclipse Awards, and he hasn't come close.
Right.
Modano, but Louis, he didn't cheat. Like the horse got
Right.
something spooked that horse, and it was beyond his control. I felt like he did a really solid job of trying to get him under control quickly because it could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, if War of Will went down, it would have been, boy, it would have been really bad for the sport. I thought all the writers handled it really well, but it wasn't his fault. He wasn't trying to cut somebody off. So yeah, I could see where he's had some sleepless nights. Like, what the heck spooked my horse? I would have just cruised. I mean, War of Will was making a run at him, but I don't know if War of would have been able to fight past him in the stretch.
Yeah.
But that was his race. That was the horse in that race. And anyways, yeah, I could see he's had a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah. They're one of the connections I'm rooting for in this race. I like Cox and want to see him win. I want to see Louis Saez win. So and
Mhm.
I like Commandment. I think the horse is class act. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, if something happens to Renegade, it's not even a question to me who's going to be my key horse. It would be Commandment.
all right, perfect. Well, we'll see what happens. Thank
All right.
you.